Good morning, SwitchPoint.
Should be out in 1 second.
My name is Christopher Neu, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of TechChange. We do tech training for social change, and what I'd like to share with you today is some of my personal frustrations that all of this cool technology exists, and so little is being done to get it in the right hands to actually be able to improve the world and make it a better place. So, to that effect, I joined the TechChange team back in 2010, and since then we've formed a team of educators, programmers, instructional designers, and animators mainly. And what we are trying to do is take that technology knowledge and get it into the hands of people who can do some good with it. We've had some success. We've trained about 3,000 students in over 100 countries, usually in class settings of about 50 students over a 4-week period. But we also focus on doing field training and working with partners to actually help get their knowledge out there and to reach their communities better. This week, for example, our team is in Uganda, where they are actually filming a rapid diagnostic test, instructional video, and conducting user design around creating an e-learning platform for the Malaria Consortium. So this gets to the main point. We've been looking a lot today at how technology barriers are being lowered. Connectivity is spreading the ability to do serious games, to map communities online. But there's another side to that equation, which is actually raising up communities that are able to use that technology effectively and responsibly. But the trouble is, which technology? All too often what we're seeing is that we're fighting the last battle. We now know that we need community mapping, a lot of times after a crisis has already happened. We're looking at issues around game design, but not in time to get it used. Even harder is looking at issues of whose social change is it that we're promoting. I was born and raised in the Middle East, and so I tried to track that quite closely. And I saw 2 articles in Foreign Policy just this last month. On the left hand, on my right, we have an article, "Congratulations, you've been martyred." In this particular case, they're looking at how simple browser-based games are being used by Sunni insurgents targeting Saudi royalty. On the right-hand side, we're looking at issues of massive open online courses. So for the first time, an Arabic language online course is being offered by Coursera, taught by an Arab-Israeli professor on nanotechnology and nanosensors. So it's using that technology to actually be able to expand that community further and to reach a wider audience beyond English. But there's huge challenges still left. So I can't solve all of the different issues in terms of thinking about social change and technology, but I would like to share something of my own personal experience. So in January of this year, I was one of 83 election observers in Egypt. We were there to monitor the constitutional referendum, and to do that, we had to go out in the field with Democracy International with these cool new tablets. And so you can see it up here on the right-hand side. We were given these Nexus 7 tablets that had a form that was pre-populated in it that allowed us to enter our information, what we were seeing about the polling station that we were there, and then submit it using geocoded data that could submit it in real time and pop up on that cool map on the left-hand side. And actually right here we have in the middle is one of the reports that I submitted from the Mansoura province, which was at one of the polling stations and saying what I'd seen. I thought this was really cool. But that wasn't where I wanted the story to end. I wanted to take this story and I wanted to go back to our community and I wanted to share it. So I brought that back to our mapping course, which I had been teaching about a week or 2 later, and I asked Michael Baltasaro from Democracy International to come present. What you're looking at up here is a map of the students that were in that course, about 60 students in, I believe, 13 countries. And Michael could sit down and share his experience in using that technology and applying it to the challenges that he was looking at every day. And again, the story didn't end there. We didn't want it to just end with our students listening to what an expert was saying. We wanted to move into what could we do? How do we convert a student into a digital volunteer? And to that end, we mapped, using the TomNod platform, hurricane damage that had happened during Hurricane Yolanda or Typhoon Haiyan, looking at satellite imagery to map the data. And the idea is that we wanted to just convert those lessons about what had been done, what I had done, what lessons had been done by Democracy International into real-time use that could actually make a difference in the world. The next step on that was we asked the students to do final projects, to take those lessons that we had been looking at and to actually make their own maps, go find data, go clean it, go visualize it, tell us a story with that data in a way that we can actually get something helpful and useful out of it. And in that way, it's come full circle. We'd gone from something neat, that immediate exposure of saying, this is a cool technology that I think could change the world, to actually going around and creating something that hopefully adds value. But this is the part that I was really excited about, which is in our courses, we are actually able to track the communications that happen between students. So every time a student mentions somebody, mentions another student in the forum, it creates a link between the nodes. So we're actually going to see these conversations happen in real time and be able to visualize that network as it grows. So you see on my far right, make sure it's right, yes. That is week 1 of our mapping course. You see 2 central nodes, that's me and the assistant facilitator, just talking to a few people. Oh yeah, no, we'll get that sorted out. We'll make sure that we check in. Okay, here's how you use that. But then as the week went on, I believe it was Wednesday and Friday that are visualized, you start to see the students talking to each other. Students start reaching out and saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm working on the Philippine stuff. That's very cool, I also use Ushahidi. And it's the story of these networks growing that we start to see the really valuable experiences happen in terms of social change. The technology that we teach, the maps that we use, the projects that they turn in, that shelf life could be measured in days, weeks, months. But those community networks that allow that information to continue to travel back and forth, hopefully remain. So the basic idea around technology for social change is also looking at how do we think about social change for technology? How do we redesign networks of human beings to incorporate that technology effectively and responsibly? If you're going to do that in your projects in day-to-day life, you've got to be ready for some criticism. Critics will say, it won't work here. It's too hard. The bandwidth isn't there, students aren't ready, people are still learning how to use a mouse. The tough part is your critics are probably right in a lot of cases. And you have to listen to them if you actually want to make a difference in terms of applying that technology. So 3 years ago, I did my first online course with TechChange, and they gave me one example in Pakistan, where we had been running a 40-person online course for returned global UGrad students. In this online course on digital organizing, we were trying to teach issues around social media, responsible practices, and censorship. And we had to deal with every single problem you could possibly imagine in terms of operating in Pakistan. We had questions around censorship, what's appropriate to post, what is the levels of privacy your students are going to have. We had problems of rolling blackouts. There were regular periods where the power would go out, mid-class or not. If we were doing a live session, too bad. But what we found is that the students responded. When they were given an opportunity to reconnect, not just with each other, but with the communities in the US that they had been part of this exchange program, they not only used the forms that we created, they created new ones as well. Given the opportunity, they created their own networks and didn't just stay in the ones that we had decided for them. To this day, it's still our most active TechChange course in terms of measuring overall participation. The second criticism you're going to have to deal with, and this one is also problematic, is who are you to do this training? Are you a subject matter expert? Do you speak the language? Are you from here? Can I trust you? And again, this is valid criticism, and we found it's important to listen to. And the idea is that you're never going to actually be able to be an expert in everything. You're never going to be the right voice or the right person in order to make that message and reach out. But what you can do is train those networks upwards. You can reach out to students, to participants, but also to teachers. Teachers are often looking to train online as much as you're looking to get that information out there. So what you're looking at up here is 2 pictures of a training that I did in Prague about 6 months ago, where we were reaching out to Romanian and Georgian journalists and trying to teach them not just to do journalism, they're very good at that, but to be able to train and share those best practices with their larger networks. with the idea being that they would have the qualifications, the language skills, and legitimacy to do so. Earlier on, I mentioned that there was two sides of the same coin. There is the issue around lowering barriers, increasing connectivity, and having the technology out there to make a difference versus building community. But really, what we are most concerned with is lowering the barriers to building communities, with the idea being that if you're passionate about social change, if you want to create social change, that you're going to have to look at using ways to taking that technology and applying it to building those communities upwards. I think I'm finishing a bit ahead of schedule, but ran through that pretty quick. But I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and I've already learned a lot this morning. I'll be around all week. I'm looking forward to learning with you. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So please do come find me.